What we're looking at here is a movie. If you're going to keep people in the dark about what's really going on, you have to project a movie at them in which they will have a version of reality which is the one you want.
There is a conspiracy theory that a shadowy elite of bankers and media moguls are ruling the world from inside a secret room.
They say that the people that control this world could sit around one large table and have lunch.
The theory goes that these elitists plan to create an all-powerful new world order, a world government that will destroy anyone who disobeys them. It is a theory shared by militiamen and neo-Nazis, and in their own way, left-wingers fighting the global elite in Seattle and Prague. The message spreads through underground videos and anti-New World Order talk shows.
Is there a New World Order?
There's a New World Order?
Is there a new religion coming?
A new religion's coming.
The New World Order has a certain smell about it. The smell of death.
But there's something else. Many conspiracy theorists say that great danger awaits those people who get too close to the truth about the secret rulers of the world. This is the story of what happens to one man who believes he's getting too close to the truth.
You know what your radio station is?
Thanks for coming in.
It's pathetic.
Thank you very much for coming in. We'll look forward to seeing it on TV. Thanks.
Pathetic.
Thanks for coming in.
And you say you believe in freedom? You couldn't spell it.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
This is life in the free world, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I know where I am now.
Birmingham. One of the world's most successful conspiracy investigators is on a lecture tour of Britain. He is unaware that powerful people are right now plotting his downfall. He is David Icke.
So we go past Birmingham City Football Ground, don't we? I played there against the Radio 1 team, remember that? We got beat 7-1 there once, you know. I remember. And I was in goal. I put my head in my hand afterwards and dropped it, you know, it's one of them games. Like, let's see what happens if we go down here, because life's a mystery. Life's a mystery. Cracky. I say that's a wonderful example of what the human race is manipulated to do. Running like crazy just to stand still. As long as we do that, we're controllable. Keep on running faster, but make sure they don't get anywhere.
This former BBC sportscaster and once the most laughed at man in Britain is now an internationally successful conspiracy investigator who can play to audiences of thousands all over the world. How did this happen?
Here we go. Hello, guys. Hi. How you doing? Of course you can. Who's this to?
L-I-Z, Liz.
Liz.
That's me.
Good job, isn't it?
Thank you, Mr. Wright.
Thanks ever so much.
Is your son?
It is.
Hi.
This is Jamie.
Hi, Jamie.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. David Icke.
Thank you. When you first hear that line, few people control the world, it seems crazy. But you know the sad thing? Not only is it possible, if you control certain institutions and certain flows of information, it's a piece of cake. You can't control billions of people physically to put people like George W. Bush and Bill Clinton into power. The way the scam is played, and always has been played, is to manipulate the way we think and feel so we perceive the world and therefore behave in ways that the agenda wants us to.
Back in the 1980s, David was behaving in the way the agenda wanted him to. He looked set for a glorious career in sports presenting with the BBC, the next David Vine or David Coleman or even Des Lynam.
I was a professional soccer player, and I finished with arthritis at 21 and decided I wanted to be a television presenter. And I worked my way up to be that. I wanted to front grandstand and all that stuff. Well, just 3 months after the disappearance of Shergar, racing has been stunned by the death from natural causes of the 1979 Derby winner, Troy.
That must have been fun, right?
Well, yeah, it was in the early days, but I got bored with it very quickly. The key point came in the late 1980s. It's a strange story. I was working for the BBC still at the time, and I just felt this presence around me. Like, when I was in a room alone, there was someone else there. And I remember sitting in the Kensington Hilton Hotel working for the BBC one night on the side of the bed, and I said to whatever, for God's sake, if there's something there, would you please contact me, because you're driving me up the wall.
The voices continued. They told David that he was the Son of God and that the world was about to be torn apart by natural disasters. David was panicked by these messages and he sought advice from a psychic.
She starts telling me that I was going to be world famous, that I was going to go out on a world stage, face enormous opposition and tell the story and basically reveal to the world what's really been going on. Now, I'm introducing the snooker at the time, John, you know, and I'm thinking, oh, you are.
Hello, welcome to the deciding frames of the 1990 British Car Rental Snooker World Cup.
So I'm kind of blown away by this. And bingo was on the Wogan show.
Let me get the story right. The press claim that you claim to be the Son of God.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true?
Yes, you see, the thing is that it's quite funny, really. You know, 2,000 years ago, had a guy called Jesus sat here and said these same things, you would still be laughing. It's really funny that we've not really moved on that much.
The conscious level was doing the interview, and another level of me was observing and going, oh my God, what's going on here?
When may we expect tidal waves, eruptions, earthquakes?
When these things happen...
As they will?
As they will, my goodness, they will.
When is the first thing going to happen?
Well, it will certainly happen this year. The first sequence will begin this year.
What will happen if they don't happen? What will happen to you?
They will happen because if they don't happen, there will be no Earth.
I remember this moment, watching it at home on TV. David said this with such conviction that the audience stopped laughing for a moment. This kind of thing can still shake us up. Could David Icke actually be a soothsayer? At that moment, I think the nation looked to Terry Wogan for guidance. How would he respond?
You know, the best way of removing negativity is to laugh and be joyous. So I'm delighted that there's so much laughter in the audience tonight.
But no,
but just let me say this.
They're laughing at you. They're not laughing with you.
Fine.
It had a very profound impact on me, the result of that interview, because I couldn't walk down any street in Britain without being laughed at by most of the people. If I'd have been in this little chef, if there were any people here, and this happened to me many times following the Wogan show, people would be giggling and laughing all over the place. Going into a bar or a pub, well, forget it. Then you go home and you turn the telly on, and there'd be a comedian. I only have to say my name, and they had a laugh.
What I've heard you say sounds absolute lunacy to me. And I still think you're soppy as a box of frogs.
Yeah.
David Icke, thanks very much indeed.
If you had a brain cell, it would die of loneliness.
And the scores are teetering on the brink of being exciting. What with Paul and David with 6, and with Ian and Nick with 13.
We need a miracle, David.
Bless you, my child.
This water tastes a bit like wine, doesn't it?
Obviously, my family were, at the time, devastated, because, especially my children, because, you know, their dad was now a figure of ridicule. They were followed to school by journalists, or the kids at school took the mick mercilessly.
Of course, the cataclysmic flooding did not occur, but David didn't allow this to destroy him. In fact, the experience of being laughed at across the media led him directly to his current belief that a shadowy elite secretly controls the world.
As a television presenter, I'd been respected, and people would come up to you in the street and shake your hand and talk to you in a respectful way. And then suddenly, and I mean suddenly, overnight, that was transformed into Icke's a nutter. That was so important for me in understanding, when I started to get into the manipulation, the agenda, the conspiracy, in understanding how it was possible for a relatively few people in key positions to run the world. They do it by manipulating the way people think and feel.
David's new theory struck a chord. Few people had believed him to be the Son of God, but many agreed that a shadowy elite, an Illuminati, was secretly ruling the world. His audiences began to grow.
And now,
as people start to see what I'm about and start to realize that Icke did not go crazy, and they're now being able to lift their heads up and say, that's my dad. You laughed at him, didn't you? But look at him now.
The conspiracy theory world is highly competitive, and ever since David burst onto the scene with his extraordinary new theory about the genetic origins of the shadowy elite, his fellow conspiracy investigators have been scandalized.
Now is the time! Not tomorrow! Not next week! Not next year! We're engaging an info war!
Everywhere I've been, meeting people who are trying to uncover the great conspiracy, the subject of David Icke always seems to come up.
So what's David Icke doing on TV?
We have a lot of different producers. You just get tired of the real meat and potatoes, the real issues. So he's gone for all the ridiculous Hollywood stuff of David Icke and the blood-drinking lizard people. So what does David Icke do? He talks about the Federal Reserve, the Bank of England, these global elitists, these power structures, all real, all true, all demonstrated by bills and executive orders and prime ministers and premiers and presidents. All real meat and potatoes, something you can bite into, something that is easily demonstratable. And then you've got David Icke at the end of all this. He says, by the way, they're blood-drinking lizards.
Who's going to have the guts to stand up on a stage and say that reptiles run the world? I mean, who's going to do it? No one's ever going to do it. We're never going to find out, are we? So, people were coming up to me and telling me how they had seen people, overwhelmingly in positions of power, though not always, turn in front of their eyes into a reptilian humanoid figure and then go back again. And of course you hear one and you think, ooh. And you hear two and you think, oh my God, back burner. You hear 3, you hear 4, you hear 5, you hear 6 in different countries. Now these nodules on their head are something that come up again and again, and for some reason drinking human blood, particularly the blood of blonde-haired, blue-eyed people, seems to be very beneficial to holding mammal codes open.
Blood, Al Gore needs blood to drink, so does Prince Philip. I mean, it's asinine. And it's being picked up by people, and so it discredits all of the reality people are talking about. And that's the problem with David Icke. He's got a good line to a point, and then he discredits it all. It's like a turd in the punch bowl. That's his job. He's got this nice big thing, you know, this nice fruit punch, nice ice cubes floating around in it, you know, and then he takes a big dump right in the middle of it, and no one's going to drink out of that punch bowl.
But is he in league with them to do that?
I think he knows what he has to do in a controlled world to get away with what he's doing and be given attention. And he's either a smart opportunist con man, or he's completely insane, or he's working for them directly. But I tend to think he's just a con man who understands how things works and is just a real opportunist.
It's 1 a.m. David has lectured for the last 6 hours, as he does most nights all over the world. During the past few nights, he's sold hundreds of copies of his lizard book, The Biggest Secret.
I just want to say I felt very inspired by it.
Right. Well, I do this all over the world, week after week after week. You know, I'm inspired by it. You know, we're moving so many books in the States now. Biggest Secret. Yeah. And the second edition is 20% better than the first. Yeah, I mean, when things like this documentary go out, it's going to fly. Yeah. I'm as well known in South Africa now as I am in Britain. Yeah. Oh. God, I'm so knackered. I haven't seen you score a goal yet, JJ. Oh, no. Oh, here we go. Oh.
Come on.
Come on, Leicester against...
see if you can score against me.
Leicester against Liverpool. Oh, I've got to do it with this. It's a bit more style, isn't it?
David is not bothered by his fellow conspiracy theorists' antipathy towards him.
Oh, he scored!
He's a loner who doesn't need the approval of his peer group.
What's this, going to be a market tomorrow, is it? See, exposing the world conspiracy and then selling fruit and veg.
But now there's some real trouble brewing for David, something that might even destroy him. This is the New York headquarters of the Anti-Defamation League, the world's most powerful Jewish defense organization. The ADL's job is to identify and expose anti-Semites.
Tell me what you know about David Icke.
I know that